Welcome back to another episode on the Create mod. In the last episode, we continued working on the tunnel, adding a whole nother belt system that brings items currently just from our one other building all the way around and over back to the main building where the main storage system is. And then we also hooked up this lava pipe that brings lava, if I can get up there, there's no real way to get in yet, from our hole, which is an infinite lava source, all the way up and over to our steam engines so that they are always powered, and to a couple of other places, like over there and over this way. And I think it looks pretty dope, but it has been a minute since I've seen like the sun, so it's probably good if we transition from working underground to doing something upstairs for once. And I made a brass farm like a month and a half ago, which makes, I think it's 1,000 brass per hour, in addition to 500 gold, 500 iron per hour, which is crazy. But if I don't want to make brass, then I get an additional 500 zinc and 500 copper per hour, which is really good, and I don't know why I haven't built it yet. So I think we get that in. I have a schematic for it. I just don't have the items or where I want to place it, really. All right, we have the schematic, and this thing is skinny. Whoa. So we might low-key be able to fit it in way more spots than I thought initially. This is actually really skinny. Oh my gosh. I could just throw it in this corner here, because that is what it's looking like. I think that looks pretty cool, but all the items do have to come in from over here. So obviously we're not going to have creative crates, but we need andesite, granite, and lava. Lava's easy. It's just straight over there. But then andesite and granite are difficult. What I could do is we could rotate this and move it this way. Yep. And have it be like here-ish. Because then, actually, we want to center this in the center of the whole thing. But like that could be a cool backdrop. Don't you think? I think that's what we go with. Because now we can actually, it's easier to get lava in. And then we have room for a bunch of belts and stuff, like over here, to actually bring the granite and andesite up instead of it just being super annoying. So I think this is actually going to work. And then powering this thing is easy. You just throw something in here and then it just works, basically. So I think we set it up here. Now we just need the items, and it's honestly not a ton of stuff. A lot of it is mixing andesite, diorite, and lava into tuff, which isn't super duper expensive. And if we place the backpack down next to this thing, the schematic can will count it as an inventory and check off most of the stuff for us. So we just need some smart chutes and then everything here, which is honestly pretty doable and not super expensive. All right, we should have all the materials that we need. I'm just super double checking. Creative crates, great. It's working. I need gunpowder. I will never remember that just in my life. Gunpowder in. This thing's ready to go. I'm just gonna, oh, I gotta remember to skip missing blocks. Yeah. So this should work. It might be an issue that the pipes are wacky, so I'll have to replace those. And then obviously the volts never work, just ever. But then everything else should work pretty much perfectly fine. And this machine isn't too complicated. It's really quite simple. It just creates tuff by mixing diorite, andesite, and lava, drops the tuff down, crushes it, and then crafts all of the nuggets that you get. I think you get iron, gold, zinc, and copper. Oh, I'm in the way. Zinc and copper. Crushes those and then puts them back into this vault to either get turned into brass or just drop down and put into this main item vault here that is used for storage. I think we're pretty much almost done. I will definitely have to replace these fluid pipes because they're all wacky, but then otherwise it should work. Hopefully. It's done. You heard the ding. Cool. Thank you for your help. And then if I just break and replace these, it should fix itself. It's weird that this corner fluid pipe didn't get broken and neither did the other ones. I wonder what makes them broken. Whatever. So this is working. Got to replace these. That's just a single volt, but I feel like you always have to replace single volts anyway because they're stupid and the game is bad. And what I could do is do that. And then I can steal items from below without it looking super ugly. I'm a fan of that. That's a good idea. All right, we have lava hooked up and the power hooked up. I should just be able to flick this and maybe it'll go to the right way. If it doesn't, we'll just reverse everything. Yep, it is going the wrong way. Everything should be going the right way. All the belts are going towards this way. The crushing wheels are spinning inwards and the blaze burner has lava. Everything else is good. Beautiful. Now comes the entertaining part of bringing both diorite and andesite over here, putting it into barrels and being able to request and receive them. This is going to be a little bit complicated since this thing requests andesite and so does this one. What I might do is down here, we have an andesite dropper receiver thingy, and then this. This is currently just saying, give me andesite and have it go straight to here. What we could do is if I break a bunch of these blocks, if we have it go over this way, and then if this one needs andesite, we have a brass funnel that picks it up, and otherwise it goes this way. So I suppose what we need to do first is set up this side of the system, bring a belt way back over to here so that it can connect with this belt here. And then we can get the logic of which one needs items, because figure it out. So let's get the closed system in first. All right, the item delivery is set up. We have, well, at least this half of it is. We have a little belt going all the way from this area here straight over, and it works. Great. Now we need to figure out, and this one's going to be complicated probably. All right, it is, I've forgotten how long later. It's like at least an hour, but I think maybe we have an idea. So what's going to happen is I'm going to do something maybe stupid, but also maybe not. We are going to have items come in here. If it's andesite or blaze rods, they go up, and otherwise, or if this andesite is powered, which we're going to set up in a second up here. If this one is powered, then the andesite will continue and go along this way up here into these two ones where we'll have diorite on this side and andesite on the other side. Now all we have to do is, first of all, set up the andesite filter here. We'll need a diorite filter there, but we need a diorite sendy system that is going to be right here where it drops diorite and sends it over, and then another sendy system over at the main base to bring it from the storage system where diorite is right now and bring it all the way over on, I think it's this line. Diorite is fully set up now. We have it all linked up, and it should be heading straight over here. And it looks like it is. I already set up the filter here. Perfect. So that should be working. And while that's filling up, I'm going to set up the system over here to take the diorite out of the system and bring it over to the tough creation. All right, we have now the AND gate set up so that we can turn this on and off based on, oh, that's not what I want then. I don't know how to do it. I'm trying to get an AND gate set up, but I think what I might have to do, which is super cringe. Oh, that means it worked though. So if we go check over here, this should still be pretty much empty, yes, and all of the andesite should have went over here. Yeah, and it's over 20%, perfect. Which both means that the loop is long enough to not overflow that barrel over there, which is great news, but also that the AND gate is going to work once I figure out how basic redstone circuitry works, which I apologize for being this silly. There we go, we have it set up now. I just switched it with a redstone link so that it doesn't accidentally connect to this redstone link or quasi-connect to anything else or anything stupid. So now this should work. The AND gate is working. I can break this temporary torch that made sure it just nothing got sent everywhere. And now I'm going to set up diorite with the same, basically, thing that we have before here, where we just have diorite, tough, and finish off. We should now see diorite's moving. Beautiful. And we should see it go along the line here, up and into this system. And my hope is that the barrel doesn't fill up fully, which looks to be successful. It's close. So maybe we just lower this maybe to 48 or even 32. Like, we don't need this to be at full speed all the time. But if we bump that down to 32, that'll make sure that the barrel over here isn't going to get too full, and maybe we do that with andesite as well, because that's going to have a very similar problem. The tuff farm, and subsequently everything else farm, should actually be working, and we already have 4 iron, 3 gold, 6 brass. So I say we get a quick little belt that goes back over to the main part of the system. That belt is now set up. I'm just going to throw... No! Oh my gosh, I almost was stupid. So the belt is set up, but I haven't set up the collection system just yet. It should be very, very easy. We're just going to need to put 2 things there, and then the drawer controller, boom, and this thing there. And I'll set a filter in a second. I doubt I have a list filter. Yeah, I do not. So what we are going to do is just place down a chute here for a second. I just need to get some brass from this, and then we can set up everything else. But if I come over here and just throw iron there, gold here, and then connect this thing, we'll get a little bit luckier on everything coming out. All right, let's hope the brass goes into the spot that I want it to be in. Double, hopefully it's going the right way. Ah, it flew over here. Okay, so now we can put the brass in there. And the reason that happened is because it flew off from there onto this belt, which is kind of funny. But now it should work if we place back in. I guess if we could throw the brass down there for a second. If we come and place back in the chute, brass will be coming out. Should be coming over here onto this, and this should be filling up. And it is awesome. Nice, and we have a ton of items, which is awesome to see. So now I think it's a good time to test to see if this redstone link is actually going to work. It should be relatively straightforward. I just need to be able to pick up a bit of copper and zinc here. Then I'm going to first come over here, copper, zinc, sure. And I'm going to set up just a super basic control panel thing over on this side here. So now if we flick this, that should turn on, and then we should start making copper and zinc. Yep, you can see copper and zinc both came out here. We're no longer getting any brass, which is awesome. And then the copper and zinc should both go into, yep, these 2 spots, and they are filling up. Awesome. And I'm also going to set up some other redstone links to turn on and off these systems. So this one is currently broken, and I don't care about fixing it. But the redstone and the brass farms, we should probably get a system set up so that we can turn those off. And now we have that. If we flick that, you can see everything stops moving. And the same is true for the redstone, which is awesome. Now for the rest of this video, I want to set up the underground system so that we can actually get to it, like make a little staircase down on both sides. And then if we have time, I want to keep working on building. We have one custom tree over there that I think is pretty cute and kind of small. I want to wrap that around the rest of the barn area so that we get some like height with our foliage instead of it being so ungodly flat. But we're only going to do that if we have time. So let's get the downstairs stairs. Let's get the stairs set up. There's a bad guy there. I'm just going to ignore him and pretend that he doesn't exist. So let's get downstairs set up, and then we can get to maybe building. And so I started out in the second building, setting up a staircase and then digging out a bit of the area. And then I went to just pretty much continuing the style that we had so far with the stone brick walls, the graded floor thing with the copper underneath. I did run out of copper, so for now it'll just be empty. And then in the main building, I just brought the same thing over, did a little bit of detailing. I did use a different staircase that you'll see I then fix in the second building to follow the same iron one. And then I have a cool ceiling design that just like continues the graded stripe thing that I think looks pretty cool. And then that's the underground all done. The underside is done, and I think it looks pretty dope. We have these like ceiling things that light it up and look pretty cool. I've decided to use these industrial iron catwalk stairs because I think they look good and fit both the upstairs vibe and obviously more so the downstairs vibe. But now we can actually walk around here without tipping over and exploding, which is great. Like we have an actual floor, which is good. And then if we go through all the way here to the other side, this is what it looks like. For now, it's pretty bland, but up here, if you can see, we do have the ability at least to get in more of these drawer controller slaves. And I might as well actually place them right there, because now we can, if we wanted to, put more in that just go straight in, and then we'll be good, which is pretty sweet. That is going to be enough building in the downstairs section. For the rest of the video, we're going to work on foliage and trees around this barn, and maybe continuing with some of the terraforming that we've been doing. The two main things I want to get at are putting trees along the way here so that it's less flat, and then having this pathway have trees kind of overhanging it slightly on either side. And I think that'll look super cool, but we will need to get some terraforming done on this half of it as well. And the design process for these trees was actually really interesting and kind of fun to do. After the first one, which I hope I showed my distress, but that was like kind of bad and took a really long time. This tree didn't take too long, and then I continued working on the next trees and the next trees after that. All of which, like, each one got a little bit easier, and it made more sense in my brain as to why, like, each thing goes where. I was kind of following the green methodology of how the branches of the trees reduce in size as you go up, and each, like, reduction is usually half the width of the previous one. So the trunk would go half into slabs, which would then go half into fences and then half into fence gates. And I think that actually worked really well. It made the trees, even though like they're not perfect, but they do look a lot better than what they did before. So I'm very happy about that. And I think the whole thing is actually tied together pretty well. All right, the trees are done, and I don't know if I've gotten better at it. I bet I have. The small trees are hard. But as you see, oh, this is like a little cute one. But other than that, it like gets smaller to bigger. Kind of telling the story of like, they care about pruning the ones up front just so that they don't get overgrown, but the ones at the back, nobody cares about. And I think that the trees there really add quite a bit, and I really like the tiny one in like the little composter potted plant thing. So I'm a big fan of that. But I think I did a really good job. And while I was building, I feel like I got faster on each one. Maybe not better, but like each one is at least passable as a tree. When for the first one, it took so long to make this, and this is like still pretty questionable, so I might tear this down and redo it once I do all the other ones. But I think all the trees look dope, and they fill in a lot of the color, the greenery needed for this area. Like a lot of it is grays, and like even the green moss is kind of gray-y. So this just adds another layer of like green. So maybe we throw in a couple of other trees on the rocks here or something like that, but we'll do that at the very, very end if I think it's a good idea. But yeah, I think this is a very good start to the custom trees, and definitely not the end, but this did take a while. But now we got to work on the front of the barn with trees and stuff like this, with these beautiful ones that are so gorgeous and beautiful. And some more terraforming and stuff so that we can get the front looking great. So let's go. And there we go. We have the pathway all the way up to the barn with terraforming, at least a little bit, on both sides. And I think it fits the vibe pretty cool. At least the vibe that I wanted to have, where it's like a curving pathway. We're going to have, of course it's raining, we're going to have some trees like hanging over here. And I think the wall here adds like a vibe of coziness that I was really looking for. I think this turned out great, but I've been building for so long, and I need to get this video out. So that is going to be it, but we made a boatload of progress. I feel like way more than the last like a million episodes. We finished is in big old quotes, but we finished down here, these two rooms, one under the second building here, that it looks like a room for sure. And then the second room here as well, which looks great. And then we transitioned over to making a bunch of custom trees, which I think add a lot to the build, make it look like an actual thing. We'll need to have some more custom trees maybe sprouted about here, but once we have a couple more going up the pathway here, I think it'll look great. And then obviously we finished off the pathway, at least until the bridge that's going to be going over to the other side at some point somewhere, but we made the pathway that goes all the way up. And in the next episode, we might finish it, but I want to get some bees so we can finally wax the copper that's been green and kind of looks stupid being super green. So we're going to get bees and wax up all this copper next episode. So stay tuned for that. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe. That's all. Peace.